Everyone, in this movie I'm going to show you how to install Windows 8 on a virtual machine. So to make it very easy, what I've done is I have simply listed down the steps out here. The first step is you need to download and install a virtual machine. That's what you will use it to install Windows 8. The second step is you need to actually download and install Windows 8 on the virtual machine. Okay, and finally, once we have installed Windows 8 on the virtual machine, we will then try to restore the start button and the start menu on Windows 8. Finally, we'll explore a couple of new features of Windows 8. So let's get started. The first step is to download and install virtual machine. So in order to download and install virtual machine, you can go to a website called VirtualBox. Okay, go to this website www.virtualbox.org, click on that, and here go on the left hand side, go to downloads, and then click on VirtualBox, the first one, okay, for Windows host. So I'm currently having Windows 7 already installed. Now I don't want to upgrade my my operating system at the moment. I first wanted to evaluate how is it Windows 8 at the moment. So that's the reason I want to install Windows 8 on Windows 7 operating system. Okay, so download this VirtualBox first by clicking on this one. As you could see, the download has just started, so it will download very fast. It's a very small program. As you could see in the bottom, it's downloading now, and just 50 seconds remaining. So the VirtualBox is now downloaded. I'm gonna simply install it now. So click on this one, which is just got downloaded, and it will open the installation splash screen. So simply hit on the run button out there. Now in my case, on my machine, the VirtualBox is already there. Okay, it's already installed. So all you have to do it now, from now on, you have to simply click on next. Okay, again next, and then this is optional, okay, whether you want to create a shortcut in your desktop or not. I think it's a good idea to do it. And now again click next, and then simply click on yes. So what will happen by then is it will simply install VirtualBox. Okay, so I'm not going to press yes in my case because, as I said, I've already installed it. Okay, so you go ahead, press yes, and it will very quickly install VirtualBox. It's probably take 30 seconds or so. Okay, so once you're done with installation of VirtualBox, I'll close this at the moment. Then you need to start the VirtualBox. Okay, so the icon will be created on your desktop. Let me just exit from here. Okay, so that's what is the icon that gets created on your desktop. If you see on the top one, so double click on that and it will open the VirtualBox, which is nothing but a place which you can use it to install Windows 8. Okay, so let me just close the other virtual machines which are already there. Now what you need to do it is, the first step is you need to create a virtual machine here so that you can install your Windows 8. Okay, so what I've done here, if you go back to this presentation, here I have written the details or the steps that you should do to start the installation of Windows 8 in VirtualBox. So what you need to do, create a new virtual machine. So let's do that now. So go to VirtualBox and hit on the new icon out here. Okay, click on next and give some name to this one. So I give a name here as Windows 8 to this virtual machine. Then click the operating system. By default it automatically picks up. Okay, if it has not picked up in your case, simply go and choose the operating system from the list out here as Windows, Microsoft Windows, and the version is Windows 8. Okay, if it has not chosen automatically. Now again, in my case, Windows 8, I'm gonna install it for 64-bit. Okay, the first one by default is 32-bit, the second one is 64-bit. So depending on how you have downloaded Windows 8, you must choose this option. So I have downloaded for 64-bit. Alright, now click on next, then that's the place to allocate the memory. Okay, its memory is nothing but the RAM that you must allocate. Now Windows 8 requires a minimum RAM of 2 gig. Okay, 2 GB of RAM it's required to easily operate Windows 8 on a desktop. So I will give a RAM, instead of 2 GB I will give more than 2 GB, say I give 4 gig. Okay, that's just my case because I've got a machine that's got 16 gig of RAM. It's huge RAM I'm having, so I'm just allocating more RAM. But in your case you have to give a minimum RAM of 2 gig. Okay, once you're done with that, simply hit on next. And then in my case I want to create a new hard disk. Creating a new hard disk means you already have a desktop which is having a physical hard disk. You're creating a virtual hard disk now. So in the physical hard disk you're creating a virtual hard disk that will store all your installation and all your files related to Windows 8. Okay, so click on this one, the default option, create a new hard disk. Okay, and simply hit on the next button, and that's where it will ask you what kind of a hard disk file that you want to create. So I will just leave the default option as VDI. Okay, then again click on next. Then how do I want to allocate my disk storage in the hard disk? So for instance, initially for instance, whether you want a fixed size for your hard disk or you want to dynamically allocate as you start using Windows 8 and the hard disk keeps growing. That's the meaning of these two. So I will just leave the defaults dynamically allocated. Simply hit on next now, and then it's asking me the location of my Windows 8 hard disk. So I'll just leave the default as it is. Okay, and initially how much of space it's granting. So initially it's granting a 25 GB of space to Windows 8 operating system. Okay, so as you could see out here, 25 gig, that's the space. Now again hit on next, and now simply click on create button to create the new hard disk. Okay, so now it's created. So again I think we have to click on the create. So as you could see, Windows 8 virtual hard disk is now being created. You can simply go and click on the settings now. If you see on the top there is an icon out there, settings, click on that and we'll check a couple of things very quickly. Okay, so these are the things we have set up, which is right, and then go to system, that's the memory again we have set up. Now here one thing is important is boot order. Boot order means how do you want to boot your hard disk initially. So in our case we don't have we are not using a floppy disk drive to boot our system. We will be using a CD-ROM that contains Windows 8 installation files. Okay, in my case what I've done it is I have an evaluation copy of Windows 8 which I've installed on CD-ROM. So that's a .iso file which I have basically copied or burned it on the CD or DVD-ROM. So that's the reason I'll keep this as the first boot order. So once it is there, then go on to the other ones. Now this is also important, ID controller. So click on this one, that lets you control state how do you want to boot your system with. So in our case it's a live CD. I have placed it on my CD drive or DVD drive in my desktop. So that's where I will say I want to boot it from setup.exe file. Okay, so that's my CD-ROM. Now once I'm done with that, okay, sorry about that. So again click on that, go to host drive. Okay, so now it's a D drive, it will boot automatically. Again I click on OK now, and once you're done with all this, you need to hit on the start button on top to start the installation. Okay, so when you start the installation, it will be as good as you are inserting a CD in your desktop and restarting a desktop. So when you restart a desktop, it will start booting from a Windows 8 CD. So that's what it means when you hit on the start button now. So let's see how it goes. If there are any errors, it's going to pop up straight away now. Okay, so I'm hitting the start button now. So as you could see, the VirtualBox machine is first starting. Now it's calling the Windows 8 CD. So as you could see, it's successfully called Windows 8 CD as we have given. Alright, so it is now starting the installation. In fact, this is the first time I am installing it myself, so I would say probably it might take a few minutes to come to the basic installation start options, and then probably it might take anywhere between 15 minutes to half an hour. Alright, so that's where it started. You need to choose the language to install. So by default it's English United States, and the currency format and the keyboard input method. So I'll leave it default here at the moment, and then I will simply hit the next button, and then this button appears, install now. So I'll simply click on this install now button to commence the installation of Windows 8. So as you could see now, the installation has just started. Alright, so you need to accept the terms and conditions, so click on this and simply hit on next. Let's try with the second option, this one. Yeah, I think we need to go by the second option, okay, by custom install, and that's where it's given us the basic total size of the disk that we have chosen, okay, 25 gig, while we were creating our CD drive, or creating our virtual hard disk, I should say. Okay, now I'll simply hit on the next button now. Look, yeah, so this is successful. That's the way to go about for installing a virtual machine. Now as you could see, the Windows installation is started. So now this process can take anywhere between 15 minutes to half hour, depending on how fast it is your computer. So in my case, my computer desktop, the process is pretty fast, so it shouldn't take that long. But what I'll do now is I will simply pause at the moment, okay, and we'll come back and see after it completes all these processes that are listed out there. So hopefully all these processes should have the right mark ticked against them. So as you could see now, the installation files are almost ready. So now it's 100% completed. Now as you could see, it's installing the features now, and if there were any updates, like if you were installing or if you're upgrading from another operating system, potentially that might mean some kind of an update, or if the Microsoft has released new updates to Windows 8, then it might install updates as well. So I think currently that's what it's doing it. Alright, so it's just finished installing the updates as well. So the last step is now finishing up. So as you could see now, it's now restarting the machine, and this is restarting the virtual machine. It's not restarting the physical machine. The host machine is not getting started. So as you could see, the virtual machine is now just got restarted. It's rebooting it now. Now at this point of time, ideally what should have happened is, okay, let's go into this and see what happens. It shouldn't have been booting from the CD, because I think its job is done. But never mind, let's see how it goes. So it looks like it's trying to call some binaries in the background. You can see in the bottom the message is what it's currently doing. Alright, it's just the first time it takes a bit, and I think once it loads all the binaries or installation files, then the installation will be seamless and it will be pretty fast. And then once the installation is complete, then every time you restart your Windows, it will be very fast. Okay, so it's just the first time, we have to be a little patient. Okay, let's see what happens. It's just rebooted the machine now. Okay, so this time I believe it's not booting from the CD or DVD drive. Alright, so it's just started. Now it's brought me to the first screen, which is called personalize. So pick a color and give your PC a name or any name that you want. You will be able to personalize more later. So I say, in this case, my PC name is, let's say, just KK. Okay, KK. And then I simply hit the enter, or I've pressed tab actually. Enter didn't work. Alright, so I think you need to use that arrow key on the top to browse. Okay, I press enter now, and then simply enter a favorite email address. So what I'm going to do now is I will enter an email address that I have. Okay, after entering the email address, I simply pressed enter and then again press enter here. So simply creating an account in the background. So this is just some initial help information that Windows 8 is providing. So let's see if enter works to skip from this page. Okay, I've just pressed enter now. The GUI looks pretty good so far, is it not? Let me try to minimize to see what's coming in the bottom. Alright. So simply reading up the windows now. Now as you could see the message, it's now installing applications that comes with Windows 8. In fact, what happened was when I gave my account information, automatically I got an email to my email account associated with the Microsoft account, and I've also got a SMS. And I've just opened that SMS to say it's added that KK was added to my account.com, and then it says visit https account.live.com/confirm and enter the code, and then it's given a code for me to confirm my account. Okay, so in the meanwhile, alright, so there you go. That's where you are. That's the first splash screen. I believe what Microsoft called this as a Metro desktop. Okay, it doesn't have a start menu out here, start button in the bottom, just like Windows 7. This is Windows 7. You've got a start button and start menu, but Windows 8 doesn't have a start button in the leftmost bottom corner, as you could see. So what it is having is just like, on the top. So Windows 8, I think it's more useful when you use something called your finger in on a touchpad. That's how it's more useful. Okay, so as you could see now that we've got Windows 8, so let's go back to our presentation to see what's next on the task list. So before we go on next, so let's quickly go through what all we have done so far. So we started by creating a new virtual machine. Then we added a operating system details to that virtual machine, which is nothing but Windows 8. Then we allocated a memory of 4 gig to the virtual machine, but the recommended minimum memory size is only 2 gig. Okay, then we slot in the CD and we boot it from the CD. Okay, then we also created a new virtual hard disk to store the Windows 8, just like it's appearing now in this virtual machine. So we've created hard disk to store that. And then we started Windows 8 installation in virtual machine. Then we clicked on custom install option to install Windows 8, not the upgrade option, but only to custom install. Okay, so when we click on custom install, it basically started the Windows 8 from scratch and the installation was done after some time. Then we accepted all the defaults and completed Windows 8 installation. I've also given my account details out there, and then I've got an automatic email and a message on my mobile, an SMS stating my account details out there. So the next thing we will do now is we'll now go and as you could see in the agenda. So we'll now go and we can restore the Windows 8 start button and the menu. So that's what I'm going to show you, how you can restore the start button and the start menu on Windows 8 so that it looks or it appears exactly what it's appearing in Windows 7 now, which is at the moment which is missing. And once we're done with that, we'll then explore the features of Windows 8.